Hello guys, good day. No? Today we're going to be talking again for another topic, no, in the subject criminal jurisprudence. So actually this is a requested lecture, no. Thank you pala guys sa mga laging nag-aabang sa mga uploads natin kay Criminology Dream. Yan. So lagi yung nagpa-participate sa ating mga discussion. Thank you for that. Actually one of the questions that was asked was with regards to the distinction of delito compuejo, delito compuesto, delito compuejo, and delito compuesto. So, they are known as the complex crime, proper, and compound crime. No? So, we're going to answer the question by asking, by creating a scenario wherein we can discuss the distinction between the following, the question that is being asked. Okay? So, let me read the question, guys. No? Pedro intends to take the phone of Mr. Juan. When the latter refused, Pedro beat Juan to the ground, inflicting serious injury, and took the phone. Among the choices below, how do you classify the crime of Mr. Pedro? Okay? So, as we have stated, we're going to distinguish the difference between complex crime proper and compound crime. No? Among the choices here, we have complex crime proper, known as delito compuejo, compound crime known as delito compuesto. Now, in addition to that, we're going to include among the choices the term complex crime and continuing crime, no? Which is yung continuing crime is known also for delito continuado. No? But anyway, this is a legal classification of crime based on its plurality, no? And singularity of the crime committed. Okay? So first, let us try to define what is complex crime proper. So complex crime proper refers to a situation that the offender commits a crime to ensure and facilitate the commission for another one. No? This is a type of crime wherein, in order for you to commit the crime you intend to do, no? There's like a crime that was committed prior to that. Okay, so let me give you an example. No? So, let's say for example, gusto mong pagnakawan yung bahay ng isang tao, isang kakilala mo. Okay? So, para manakawan mo yung bahay na yan, di ba, you need to force your entry to that house. Di ba? Kailangan mong pumasok. No? Kailangan mong pumasok yan sa pamamahay na yan. And we know for a fact that under our criminal law, that alone can be considered already as a crime. Di ba? Meron tayong tinatawag na trespassing. No? The crime of trespassing. So in order for you to commit the crime of robbery, no, doon sa pamamahay na yan, you need to trespass the property of that person. Okay? So in order for you, okay, so yung first example natin, display how complex crime proper is that, di ba? Kasi you committed a crime, no, in order for you to commit your original intent, which is to rob. Na pagnakawan yung loob ng pamamahay. Nag-trespass ka, which is a crime already, para makapasok ka doon sa loob at makuha mo yung gusto mong nakawin doon sa pamamahay na yan. Okay? So you need to trespass before you can commit the crime of robbery. That is a good example of complex crime proper. Okay? Anyway, how would this affect the criminal liability of one person? So under the idea or under the concept, no, of complex crime, no, complex crime usually does not punishes the two separate actions. Now, hindi ka mapapunish for trespassing and then another for robbery. No? Instead, the trespassing will be absorbed to the crime of robbery kasi yung pagkuha ng gamit, di ba, originally that's a theft. However, there is a forced entry, no? So that's one of the elements of robbery. So instead of theft, no, the trespassing will qualify the act of taking property to make it robbery. So you will be punished for the crime of robbery and not by trespassing and then another crime of theft or robbery. No? So magko-combine na kumbaga sila ang punishment nila, and whichever has the highest penalty imposed, yun na yung masusunod. No? And it will be implemented to its maximum duration. So kumbaga it aggravates, no? It aggravates the other crime committed on that single act will aggravate now the original intended crime. So that's the concept of that, no? Okay, so that's for complex crime. Sabi nga natin, a situation where the offender commits a crime to ensure and facilitate the commission of another crime. So kumbaga, one crime is a requirement for you to be able to commit the crime intended. Okay? Now, ano naman yung tinatawag nating compound crime, and how is that different from complex crime proper? Okay? So, compound crime is another classification of complex crime, which is one single act produces two or more crimes. Okay? Let me give you an illustration. So, for example, I wanted to kill Mr. Pedro, no? So, gusto kong barilin or gusto kong patayin si Mr. Pedro sa pamamagitan ng pagbaril. So, inabangan ko siya, no? Nung malapit na siya, pinaputukan ko siya ng baril. At fortunately, no, tumagos yung bala, tinamaan si Mr. Pedro pero tumagos yung bala. Tinamaan si Mr. Juan sa likod na kumakain halimbawa ng balot, no? So may nadamay na ibang tao. Okay? So my intention was to kill or to shoot Mr. Pedro, no? However, due to unforeseen circumstances, tumagos yung bala, may nadamay sa likod, hindi naman namatay pero tinamaan pa rin ng bala. Okay? So now, that's the illustration for the concept of compound crime. Wherein, isang single act lang yung ginawa ko, di ba? Isang kalabit lang ng baril. However, it produces more than one crime, which is one for the death of Mr. Pedro, which is my original victim, or original target, and two for the innocent bystander, no, na nadamay lamang doon sa ginawa ko. No? So, there is a crime here. Of course, we have either homicide or murder for the case of Mr. Pedro, no? And hindi naman mag-fall as homicide or murder yung case ng bystander. Why? Because I don't have any intention to harm or to kill the bystander. So, it will not fall as homicide or murder, but rather, it could fall as physical injury, no? So, one single act, no, resulted into two crime. That is a compound crime. Again, the rules or the concept of complex crime, since compound crime is a sub-classification of complex crime, no? The rule on a complex crime will still apply, which means that I will not be punished for the two separate offenses I committed, but rather, I will be punished for whichever has the higher penalty involved therein. So, that's a compound crime of let's say murder with physical injuries or homicide with physical injuries, no? So yun din yung maipaparusa sa akin doon sa dalawang offense na na-commit ko. So that's compound crime, ano? The distinction for that for complex crime, doon sa complex crime kasi yung crime na kinumit mo prior to the commission of your original intent is a requirement for you to be able to do your intended crime. Now, kumbaga, kailangan mo talagang makommit ito, ma-violate ito, makommit yung crime na ito, para nang sa ganun, ay maisa katuparan mo talaga yung original na binabalak mo. While for compound crime, no, sa compound crime is that one single act, no, resulted into two or more crimes. No? Hindi mo ginawa separately yung offense yun, but rather, isang single act lang, nagkaroon tayo ng more than two offense. No? Ganun din guys, halimbawa, actually nangyari ito, ano? So, one security guard responding into alleged robbery or theft, no? Sa isang public market, isa siyang security guard, no? So, accordingly, may sumigaw na magnanakaw, hinabol ng security guard, pinaputukan niya yung magnanakaw, pero you know naman, the issued firearm for security guards is a shotgun, no? So, pinaputukan niya, may mga nadamay, no, ng mga bystander, mga inosente. So there are multiple injuries inflicted, no, aside from the injuries inflicted to the alleged robber. Okay? So one single act of pulling the trigger, no, constituted into two or more offenses, no, doon sa mga nadamay. So again, no, that will be treated as a compound crime. Okay? Then we have also on the choices the term complex crime, no? Anyway, ang complex crime pertains to the things that we are discussing, no? Kasi ang complex crime is a general term for those crimes that either one is necessary for the commission of the other crime, and B, one single act constitute into two or more grave or less grave offenses. No? So ang general term for complex crime proper and compound crime are known as complex crime. No? Kumbaga, subclassification ng complex crime, C, complex crime proper and compound crime. No? So, complex crime, then dalawang branches, no? Either complex crime proper or compound crime. No? On the choices letter D, we have the so-called continuing crime or delito continuado. No? Delito continuado, no, or continuing crime is defined as a single crime consisting of a series of acts but all rising from one criminal resolution or intent. Okay? So, one intention here, isa lang yung intent mo, however, it resulted into a series of action. Okay? So, let's say for example, gusto kong pagnakawan si Pedro, no? Binugbog ko siya para makuha yung pitaka niya. Then biglang may umawat, may tumulong. No? Yung tumulong na yun, binugbog ko rin, kinuha ko rin yung gamit niya. Okay, so there are two instances where I committed robbery, correct? Ninakawan ko yung isa, yung original victim ko, tapos biglang may umawat, ninakawan ko rin siya, binugbog ko rin, ninakawan ko kapares ng ginawa ko sa first victim. So there are two crime committed here. However, it will be treated as continuing crime. Kasi isa lang naman ang intent ko talaga para mag-commit ng robbery. It just so happened na meron pang isang available victim dito, which is, kumbaga, I continued committing my original criminal intent to other person. No? So, halimbawa, yan. Inawat ka, hinohold up mo yung isa. Okay? Nung nakuha mo yon, may umawat, hinold up mo rin siya, tapos mamaya na naman, naglakad ka konti, no? May nakita ka na naman, may nakasalubong ka na naman, hinold up mo na naman siya. So, tatlo na yon. No? But you will not be punished on those separate events. No? Hindi ka ma-punish for 1 count of robbery, 2 counts of robbery, 3 counts of robbery. Rather, if it will be treated as continuing crime, you will be punished as one. No? Kumbaga, isa na lang yung parusa mo for all those 3 incidents that you committed. Kasi remember, no, one criminal intent, no, one criminal resolution resulted into series of criminal acts, which is the 3 series of events or series of robberies committed, which is, kumbaga, they don't have much time interval involved therein. So it will be treated as one, no? And it will be imposed on its highest or maximum penalty. Okay? So those are the difference of complex crime, compound crime, and continuing crime. Now, let us go back to the question. Mr. Pedro intends to take the phone of Mr. Juan. When the latter refused, Pedro beat Juan to the ground, inflicting serious injury and took the phone. Okay? So as you can see, on the question, meron tayong dalawang crime dito. No? First is the infliction of serious injury, which we know for a fact is a violation of the revised penal code. No? Yung serious physical injury, yun yung pwedeng isampang kaso na isa. Then, yung pagnanakaw ng cellphone, which is considered as robbery. Okay? So with this, no, we can say that the infliction of serious injuries, yung pambubugbog na yan, is a requirement for you to be able to took, no, para makuha yung phone ni Mr. Juan, ng victim mo. So with this, no, we could treat the serious physical injuries, no, or the infliction of serious physical injury as a complex crime, no, specifically under complex crime proper. Okay? Why? Because sabi nga natin, the infliction of serious physical injury is necessary in order for you to commit the crime of robbery. Tama? Ngayon, it's a little bit tricky if you're going to look into the choices kasi meron tayong complex crime, then we have complex crime proper. No? Paano natin sasagutin ito? Meron dito yung general classification of the crime committed, then meron dito yung specific. On the given situation, this is my advice. No? In a given situation, since it is clearly specified on how the crime was committed, kasi sabi dito merong infliction of serious injury, which is a crime, no, and taking a phone, which is another crime. So it clearly illustrates here that it is asking for the specific classification of the crime committed. No? Kasi kung binanggit din dito, for example, the compound crime or the instances where a compound crime can be committed, meaning the question is general. No? However, it appears that the question here on how the question is formulated, it is asking for the specific classification of crime wherein one crime is committed in order to commit the other crime. No? So, you remember the rule with regards to multiple choice type of question, no? You always select the nearest possible answer. So which do you think is nearer? The complex crime, which is the general classification, or the specific, which is the complex crime proper? No? So it would be safer if you would select the complex crime proper, since it is the more specific answer to the question. Okay? Yeah, guys, no, I do hope I was able to explain the difference between delito compuesto or complex crime proper from compound crime, which is delito compuesto, and in addition to that is complex crime and continuing crime or delito continuado. Okay, so I do hope I was able to impart some knowledge with regards to the topic we discussed. No, if you want more of this content, no, sa mga nagpre-prepare sa pagtitake ng board examination this June 2022, no, you may subscribe to our channel and also click the like button and share our videos para pagsuporta na rin sa ating channel. Okay? That's it for today, guys. No? Thank you for listening. See you on the next lecture. Bye-bye!